It's crazy to think 10 years ago of the amazing moments and memories that the Modern Warfare series has given us. Look, going all the way back to the very first AC-130 mission, seeing all the weapon systems on that aircraft, and seeing the devastation that you could actually cause with that, all the way to the nuclear bomb going off in Aftermath and seeing the devastation that is caused after the bomb blows up, and also too, in All Gillied Up, sneaking through the grounds of Chernobyl, trying to get the perfect sniping shot. But one of the most talked about missions, and most recently, actually this year, when compared to Modern Warfare being released this year, is No Russian. Look, back 10 years ago, No Russian caused a lot of controversy with what that mission had in store, but in my opinion, I really do think that controversy actually did help that game in sales, and I think it got a lot more eyes on it. But there was a lot of different things happening at Infinity Ward with that mission being developed, and the controversy and the demons that Infinity Ward was trying to deal with their options of putting a lot of content in that mission or taking some stuff out of it. So we're going to go over the Game Informer article, the interview that they did with Infinity Ward, talking about what they were trying to deal with 10 years ago and what they plan on doing forward with this year's Modern Warfare. Hey, what's going on, guys? Butterbar here. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we are going to be talking about the Game Informer interview with Infinity Ward, talking about how No Russian back in 2009 in Modern Warfare 2 might not have been a possibility, and talking about as well what this means for Modern Warfare for this year when it comes to the storyline, because one of the things that's been teased early on in the development of this game is that every mission is going to be similar to what No Russian was back in 2009. So I want to talk about this article, give you guys my impression about what I think is actually covered in this article that was actually covered by Charlie Intel as well, and give you guys my impression about what I think when it comes to storyline, because as me, as somebody that loves the Call of Duty stories, hell, going back to Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1 story is everything. I feel like nowadays Call of Duty stories are kind of wishy-washy, or exactly not existing whatsoever. Example of Black Ops 4, but story is everything, especially in this Modern Warfare game being released this year. I'm looking forward to the story. I'm looking forward to this campaign that's being released this year, and honestly, looking through this article and kind of seeing what their mindset was back in 2009 and what they actually plan on doing with this storyline in this game makes me really hopeful, because honestly, if you kind of look at controversies actually helped out quite a bit when it comes to sales of not only video games but movies and everything in between. Hell, even kind of looking at Dave Chappelle's stand-up comedy on Netflix, a lot of controversies kind of drummed up from that, and actually Dave Chappelle's actually having a lot of success with that. So let's get into this article. Let's talk about what kind of things they were actually struggling with back in 2009 and kind of see what that actually holds up for the Modern Warfare game for this year. Now, the interview was done with Infinity Ward's art director Joel Emsley, and said that the studio at the time was divided over how far they wanted to take the No Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2 and what they really wanted to show fans. The mission received a lot of fanfare and media coverage over its intensity during the time. No Russian polarized the studio, Emsley says. There was a side of the studio that felt it should be played from the perspective of the security guard that got caught up in it. Then there was the other side that liked the way it was going. I remember doing all the civilians for No Russian and just wouldn't. There was a point in time where we were discussing how gory we would get with the people getting hit. I remember pulling back and saying, we don't need it. People are getting tagged. Their squibs are going off. It's all good. Emsley stated the No Russian mission actually got more blood and gore, overhearing feedback from his wife for the mission lacking that. My wife looked at it and said, where's all the blood and guts? And I'm like, we didn't need it, he says. She called me out. She called me on my BS. It was pretty funny. She looks at things in a different lens. She's a lawyer. She doesn't mess around, but she's good at gut checks on stuff. This year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare title is poised to have more moments like this, as the studio is taking the franchise to new levels of realism with intense moments. The campaign gameplay we've seen thus far during our visit was quite dramatic compared to what Call of Duty has done before. Game Informer continues with asking the studio campaign leads if there's a particular moment in the game that will be caught by fans as intense and maybe controversial. They have stated that there's a potential for many moments in this game to cause the same effect. Quote, people ask us internally over and over, they're like, where's the blankety blank scene? Campaign gameplay director Jacob Minkoff says there are many of those at this point that people have just stopped asking that question. Quote, the answer is the whole game. The studio narrator director Tyler Krasinski says, I could come up with a list of like 8 different things that could be. Who knows what it will be. Quote, I suspect there will be a number of different moments that people will call out as their favorite moment, Minkoff says, in a way that Modern Warfare 1, people called out the nuke in the aftermath sequence where you crawl out of the helicopter, or they'll call the AC-130, or Crew Expendable, or All Gilly Up. There's a bunch of those, and I feel very confident that we have a bunch of those. Infinity Ward will still not show gameplay of Call of Duty Modern Warfare's campaign publicly yet, even though we actually know right now that a lot of people that have actually gone to Infinity Ward Studio has seen what the campaign has to offer, and it looks very promising from what they are talking about, but many members of the media and as well as content creators have had a chance to see it at certain levels. Now, after reading this article, I really do have a lot of respect for what Infinity Ward has been dealing with for the past 10 years. Look, they wanted to create a great campaign, they wanted to create a great storyline, and they actually could not do that without creating No Russian and showing how evil Makarov was back 10 years ago. The mission No Russian showed how evil Makarov was, as well as his organization, who he surrounded himself with, that were actually taking part in that mission. So not only was it a great storyline, but also showed you the grittiness of what people deal with. I mean, not only 10 years ago, but also now today with what's kind of going on in the world when it comes to stuff like that with No Russian. So honestly, I think it's great of what Infinity Ward had done 10 years ago. I really do look forward to this campaign of what it has to offer. If it's like what they say, you know, they're trying to kind of create the same magic they did, not only with No Russian, but with the AC-130 mission, All Gillied Up, and all these other missions that a lot of people have been kind of attaching to, not only with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, but also with Modern Warfare 2. So it's not just it's not just No Russian. It's not just that mission. They're wanting to attach all different types of emotions, all types of different, you know, environments and actions that have gone across the Modern Warfare series. So it kind of sucks that, you know, still people are still attached to No Russian, even though, again, it's a great storyline mission, even though there's a lot of atrocities, a lot of difficult things that happen in that mission. But there's all different types of missions throughout Modern Warfare that are really great, that again, they're still trying to, you know, capture that lightning in a bottle of what missions were absolutely loved and that are still talked about to this day, and what they're wanting to put in this new Modern Warfare game. So again, a lot of respect. I think it's a lot of respect that I have for Infinity Ward, just because of the demons, of everything that they were trying to deal with, on what they would want to actually put in to Modern Warfare 2, and again, what they're wanting to do for, again, this year with their Modern Warfare game. But also, too, look, you know, back in the day, 10 years ago, the controversy that Modern Warfare had with No Russian, I think actually helped out a lot with the sales of that game. Look, a lot of the news media was talking about how violent it was, how terrible it was, and again, I mean, still here, 10 years later, we're still having the news media blame video games for violence, so still a lot has changed. But, you know, looking back at that, a lot of controversy was talked about. That game, Modern Warfare 2, got a lot of publicity, whether that be good or bad, in the news. But I think at least, you know, at the end of the day, it probably generated a lot of sales. We get a lot more eyes on what Infinity Ward had created with Modern Warfare 2. With this game this year, I really don't think that Modern Warfare, you know, they probably could do the same thing, create some controversy, and have a lot of success with this Modern Warfare game. Look, I look at controversy the kind of the same way of, you know, recently with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle created a comedy sketch on Netflix that caught a lot of heat from people, but, you know, look, I honestly probably wouldn't have seen the Netflix special that Dave Chappelle created without somebody saying, hey, you know what, this Netflix special, you know, this is making me mad, I'm very offended by this. But without that offense, without, you know, articles generated, without controversy, I probably would not have seen what Dave Chappelle had done, and I actually really did enjoy his comedy special. Same thing with that Netflix special, same thing goes with Modern Warfare. If there's controversy, look, I think it's going to generate a lot more eyes into what Infinity Ward has created with their game. I really do think that it's going to be a really positive thing, just like it was 10 years ago with sales of that game to today. So honestly, it's really nice at least to see where they're coming from, of what type of things they were working with back 10 years ago to now, and hopefully, you know, they're able to create the same magic, at least with the campaign and the multiplayer as well. Hopefully they're able to create that same magic that they had with those games into this game for this year. So guys, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the controversy of the No Russian mission? Do you think that at least with this Modern Warfare game, they're able to create the same magic they had 10 years ago with, you know, what they're wanting to create with this? Again, we have not seen any gameplay. Select people have seen the gameplay. They went to Infinity Ward, they saw the gameplay of the campaign, and they got to play the multiplayer before us, but we at least know from them that it looks like it's going to be a great campaign. It doesn't look like anybody had anything bad to say about that campaign, besides maybe IGN and a couple other, journalists and whatnot. But honestly, at least from the content creators, the people that actually play Call of Duty quite a bit, they had nothing but nice things to say, and they were really looking forward to the campaign. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this article? What do you think about the things Infinity Ward has had to juggle with when it comes to creating a great campaign and getting a lot of eyes and people diving deep into what they have to offer and attracting an audience? So let me know in the comments below. Have a great rest of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys all next time.